issue. So I have pulled all the plugs out already, re-gapped everything to 20,000. So I went from 20, like 20, just over 25. It's like between 25 and 28,000. Gapped everything down to 20. I did find 2 burned up spark plug boots, so that could definitely be a major cause of why I was having a spark issue. Pay attention too. Nice. So we're gonna go ahead and just take it for a little cruise up to the gas station and back. I did pull the charge pipe off it as well, kind of help eliminate spark blowout. So I want to try to get some of that little stuff fixed before I start adding any more things to this car. Plus I just kind of want to test it out to see how our little switch panel works and stuff like that. So anyways, let's see what this thing does. We're back in the shop. This is actually the next day. It got extremely freaking cold yesterday, and it is actually extremely cold again today. But I got a couple video clips in there for you. I'm not gonna do any fast forward or time lapse of those little pulls and stuff like that. I want you guys to kind of hopefully hear what it is I was playing with. So got a couple of videos in there. You can hear the difference. Yesterday was actually kind of a good day. I had the laptop hooked up. When I first started out, I didn't. I just kind of drove the car. Came back to the house, went out. Actually, pretty much drove the car all day long. Put quite a few miles on it. Couple trips to the gas station, playing around with it. Just learning the computer, right? I'm not all that knowledgeable when it comes to tuning these things on the computer, but I figured as long as I just spend time on it, play around with it, I'll figure it out. So yesterday was a good day. Again, I learned a little bit yesterday. Hopefully you can tell in one of the videos how much clearer or more crisp the car sounded. And it wasn't really all spark issue. Like before, when one of the other videos I've had previous, going out, driving it, playing around with pump gas, running boost through it, you could hear it kind of clearing up in and out. Of course, burn up spark plug wires is a major issue. I had a cap problem. But what I ended up finding out is it wasn't all spark. So I could advance the spark. Let's just say the best thing I did was pull the charge pipe off and just try to run the car naturally aspirated, because that's what I realized. It wasn't all a spark issue. A lot of it was fueling. Like I said, I'm not the best tuner in the world. I'm just learning how to do all this. So in a couple spots I had too much fuel, and I was watching the graphs next to me on the laptop in and out every time, and I could see that it was probably my air fuel mixture naturally aspirated was 10.8, which is way too rich. Now I pulled some fuel out of it, anticipating, because once I got the charge pipe hooked back up, because we are going to put a little bit more boost through it today. So I only pulled a little bit of fuel out of it, and it almost immediately cleared up. It still ended up being probably around 11.3, 11.4 in that range. So I'm hoping that added boost will help bring that back up between the 11.5, 11.8 area. Under wide open throttle, of course. So, like I said, yesterday was a learning day. Another thing I found out too is I could never sit inside this shop more than a couple minutes while this thing was idling. And I always figured, it's like, I don't know, I couldn't quite figure it out. Like, it was running too much fuel, but I'm looking at the fuel table and I don't, and it didn't matter what I did with it, it always burned my eyes. Well, yesterday playing around, I found the fuel enrichment table, which I think on this kind of acts like an accelerator pump on carbureted. Like, wherever your throttle position's at, you give it throttle, it adds a little bit more fuel to it for that however time you set it for, to kind of keep it from bogging down or cutting out for a split second, which is another issue I had with this car. If I just really stabbed it. That was all at 100%. First time I seen it was yesterday. So I played with that, brought everything back down. I could actually sit inside the shop now while it's idling. I can snap the throttle right away. As a matter of fact, this car is warmed up. So I'm gonna go ahead and fire it up for you here real quick, just so you kind of hear what it rev out a little bit, what I'm talking about. All right, so fuel pump, fire it up. Coolant temperature. Let's see. Just so you can see that it's all warmed up. Coolant temps at 182. Idling air fuels between 13.1 and 13.5. It looks like. So, anyways, like I said, I can never snap it. Now you can kind of. It would die. It would always load up. So, if I learned anything at all yesterday, is I found that fuel enrichment table. That definitely helped out with everything. I can sit inside the shop now with it idling a little bit longer than I normally could. So, car is warmed up. We are taking it back out. I went ahead, like I said, hooked the charge pipe back up. I've also gone ahead and removed my original boost controller. This is the Turbo Smart eBoost 40. Took it out because I think I've showed it once already, but just in case, we are installing a boost leash boost controller. Now I have that sitting in the original spot of my other controller. I still have to hook up a bunch of the wiring. Right now I've got it all pulled out. I'm going through, trying to set myself up, get everything set up so I can start running some new relays and plumbing into our new power supplies there instead of that guy up there. Also be wiring in this is the bump box with our trans brake as well. And for some of you that follow me on Instagram have already seen that I have installed the button and brackets on the steering wheel. So that is another video I will be getting into later. Right now I'm just trying to get some street tuning done with it. Because I did remove that boost controller, I just have the 5-pound spring in the wastegate, and I've got a hose going from our top hat here to the bottom of the wastegate. So if it sees anything over 5 psi, opens the wastegate, because that is going to be the default spring in this car. We're going to control everything else off the boost leash. So, but for street driving, 5 psi is all I really want this car to see. We'll be running pump gas in through it. 93 octane is what's in the car right now. So, but the new boost controller set up and wiring in the bump box and all that is a video that's coming up real soon. So definitely stay tuned for those. I will do my best to show you how I set it up and wire it. At least definitely go over all the diagrams and how I wired it in, of course. But right now, I'm just going to get back in the car. We'll set up the laptop on the seat next to me again so I can pay attention to some of the graphs and see how it acts now with a little bit of pressure. So, let's do it. All right, we're in the car. Attaboy. Got Seth with us. Say hi, Seth. Hi. Yeah, see, it's on my hand. Do it again. All right. So, Seth's hanging out with us. He's got a hold of the laptop for me. Give me a little better angle, a little better view of what I got working with. All right. Let's go see if I've learned anything. All right, so I will say this. I am definitely much happier with the way this car is driving on the street this time around versus the very first time or the very last time I tried street tuning it. The car just feels happier, and I really think the best thing I did was pull that charge pipe off to tune it from there and then put the charge pipe back on. Because yesterday when I did that, of course, I knew I had way too much fuel in it. The car was just, it did not like it whatsoever. So getting it to run semi-decent yesterday by pulling fuel out of it. And I'm glad I didn't pull as much, I will tell you that. But anyways, to put that charge pipe back on and then take this car out this time around, it was a night and day difference. First, the car, because I took my boost controller out and just went straight from the top hat to the wastegate, the highest this car seen was 3 PSI. And that's because I was going up a hill. Most of the time, all this thing ever saw was 2. So I'm thinking it's not a 5-pound spring in there. I'm thinking it's more like a 3-pound spring, because I really had to hold it, get on it to hit 3 PSI. But most of the time it saw a good strong 2. So that's even better. I mean, I like that 3-pound default. So if anything happens, the car sees 3, it doesn't see anything more than that. With the boost controller off, I'm definitely happy with that. So, but yeah, driving around, most of the time this thing saw 2 PSI. Did a little fine tuning, had to add a little bit of fuel back into it because, of course, yesterday, like I said, when I had way too much fuel, I pulled some out because it was naturally aspirated or I wasn't seeing any boost pressures. So when I put this back on, I did kind of anticipate that I would probably have to add at least a little bit back in, and I did, because some of the times on a couple of pulls the car saw 12.8, 13.1. I think that's a little too lean under boost. So I was able to add a little bit of fuel back into it. Brought it close to around the 11.8 mark, which I think it's much, much happier. Most of the time the car cruised around in the 13.5, around the 13.5 area, between 13 and 13.5. It just seemed happier. The temperatures seemed good, but of course it is cold outside. So the real test will come when it starts warming up. But other than that, like I said, I'm much, much happier with the way this car drives on the street. So now that I've got that part, it does need a little bit more work past 6,000 RPMs, which is fine. But this is just a street tune that I'm working on, something I can drive around on pump gas and not really about grenading the thing. So I will work on above 6,000 RPMs here in a little in the future. But for driving around, cruising, one of the clips you see in there, I took it on the freeway. Car cruised really good on the freeway. So anyways, I'm extremely happy with the way this car is running now on the street. So now I can start getting into wiring up our new boost controller and my stage box there, the bump box. But like I said, that is on another video. I've got to kind of figure out how I want to set up those boxes and kind of how I want to run the wiring. So the next video you guys see on this car, we will be setting that stuff up and hopefully getting the car out again to test those out, see how the boost controller works, see how the bump box works, and the trans brake. So that's my plan on the next video with this car. But right now, I am going to end this video right here. Thank you guys for hanging out. If you're new and you've made it this far, please hit that subscribe button for me. Turn on notifications. Share with your friends. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them down below. Again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for hanging out. And I'll catch you on the next one.